Thanks for staying with us. You're welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. At this point, we're glad to bring in our distinguished guest, lawyer and public affairs analyst, Sogbeye, for that conversation around what has become a special form of relationship between the Rivers State House of Assembly and the executive arm, which at the height of it saw a quorum of just 5 lawmakers pass the state appropriation bill to the exclusion of 27 other members who stood suspended from the legislative body at the time. Good morning, Mr. Eli. Good to have you join us on the morning show today.
Good morning to you. Good morning, Lagos. Good morning, Nigeria.
Good
It's
morning.
an awesome pleasure to be here.
Absolutely.
Welcome to the
Thank
morning
you.
show.
Thank you indeed. Let's talk about your state. I know that you are based in Port Harcourt. We were, joking off camera when I said that the city that used to be the Garden City is now like the Garrison, city. But of course, we know what the issues are. And of course, top on the agenda for us today will be the issue of the lingering crisis in the Rivers State House of Assembly. Is it 3 or 5 against 27? So much so that this is the second time that the appropriation law, will be passed, that the bill will be the budget will be presented to the House, but then the question of quorum comes in. The question of the judgment of December, the 20th comes in. That seems to give validation to what Governor Sim Fubara is doing. That if the courts have not yet decided on the legitimacy of the 27 others, is free to carry on, its activities. What are your thoughts around this? Does it look like democracy is perpetually challenged in Rivers State?
Well, thanks for that wonderful question. Let me begin by saying that even before the judgment of the 20th of December, by my Lord, the Honorable Justice Sika Henry Aproku,
Yes.
of the High Court of Rivers State, in that matter brought by the registered trustees of legislative drafting and practitioners, advocacy, whatever, against the government of Rivers State and 2 others.
Yes.
The appeal court in Abuja on the 13th of December 2024 had rules dismissing the suits at the instance of Ameul and Co., right, where Justice Abdul Malik, Joyce Abdul Malik of the Federal Court, had ruled to commanding the governor to represent the budget to the affected lawmakers. People seem to forget that people had dismissed that ruling.
In Abuja.
And that judgment relied heavily on a previous judgment in January of 2024 by my Lord, the Honorable Justice James Omotosho, who just yesterday again had brought that judgment down that dismissed the suit filed by Chidi Lloyd and others, seeking to enforce, as it were, an allocation of the tenure, by the Ameule-led former House of Assembly, and I say so advisedly. Once a legal principle is settled, in our constitution, in our law, we operate a system that is bound by precedents of superior courts. So all of what's going on is like revisionism, and it's not tenable. If a superior court has spoken, politicians should stop looking for how to force judges to sit and appeal on decided cases, settled principles of law. We're talking about 4 members, 3 members. It does not arise. That's as for Assembly Rivers State. Once it defects, read section 109 sub 1G, the proviso thereof. It has 1191 A, B, C, onto G. People have forgotten that all of those issues are grounds for you to leave the house. And it does not provide anywhere in that section of the law or anywhere else that the court must interpret that first before it comes to effect. It's automatic. It's self-executory. Yeah, and precisely,
the justice mentioned.
Yes, Justice Aproku relied heavily on the decision of Justice Walter Norgan, right, in 2007, in the case of Dapelong against Dari, which is an all false with this case. Pelosi House of Assembly has 24 seats. 13 members first left. The next day, the speaker left. So 14 left for the Advanced Congress of Democrats from the PDP. All right, so only 10 were left to sit.
Yeah.
Now, my Lord, the Honorable Justice Norgan held in that landmark judgment that they can transact the business of the House of Assembly, even though they don't meet the quorum under Section 96. They can. The only thing they cannot do is impeach the governor. Of course, what they want to do, they want to impeach Governor Dari. So the House is legitimately composed of its members who did not defect. Those who defect had lost their seats. And asking that people go to court to buy time is so, or that they should give them another leave to do whatever. It's trying to like review settle cases of law. You can't do that. You can't do that. You have defected your laws. There are consequences. And before you defect, you should know. A lawmaker should go and read the Constitution to know, why am I here? What can I do? What can I do? All right? So when you see them revert back to say they are no more defecting,
yes.
After they appeared before the president in a meeting in Abuja, at which meeting the president himself said that they cannot reject children that have come to him. Members of the National Working Committee of the APC arrived for that court, and in a show of bravado, as if we had Polo Club for that court, led by Tino Okocha, was then they appointed as caretaker chairman, in violation of the APC constitution as held by the court when they threw him out, when the court threw him out. We didn't see them dancing all over the place. They received them with glee and fanfare. They are gone ahead to file a suit before Justice Peter Alifu, which was withdrawn in October last year. In that case, the number is at 1681, FSC Fire Court, Abuja CS 1681. They deposed affidavits where they stated grounds for their defection from the party that sponsored the elections. So this is a germane and straightforward points of law. Facts are before us. That should not be an issue. What we should be interrogating now is why would they insist on wasting time when INEC, remember they are going to court first on 29th of November 2023 before they defect on the 11th of December, to seek reliefs, one of which that INEC should not conduct elections, two, that National Assembly should not take over the function of Assembly of River State, blah, blah, blah. What was all that? That was even to preempt the action that they had in mind. So in law, first, for a judge to convict a criminal, that must be what they call the mental element of the offense, which is called the mens rea, and then the physical action of the offense, which is called the actus reus. The two must come together for there to be a conviction in law. So they had already agreed that they would defect before they filed a suit in November of 2023, before they defected on December 11. So when you now see the consequences of your action coming back at you, you want to run back, it doesn't work that way. That's why the same Justice Omotosho that they relied on in that judgment in January of 2024 had yesterday, as it were, backed off. He could as well have said, the House Assembly that amended that extension of tenure was right in law, and therefore this former chairman can continue in office. So these are the issues. They're straightforward, no complications.
Well, can we just touch on broader governance and the political dynamics that currently exist in River State? It's no secret that there's the political feud between Governor Similaye Fubara and his predecessor, Nyesom Wike, has significantly influenced this legislative crisis in itself. So how, when we look at their conflict shaping the unfolding events, do you believe now, as of today, January 18th, 2025, that there is a way to depoliticize the River State legislature to focus on the governance? We're looking at the legislature in disarray. What role should national political actors or the leadership of the PDP and even the APC play in mediating this crisis, as it were?
No, there cannot be any solution outside of the law. Both institutions are referred to. The governor of the state operates an office known to law. The House Assembly operates an office known to the law of the land, the Constitution.
But isn't there a risk of it worsening tensions,
no,
if external influences are not carefully
if you apply
managed?
political solutions to legal questions, you have not solved the problem. And I give you an example. The president tried to intervene. Why they drew up a list of what they call a shopping list, which did not solve the problem. If a political solution was tenable, I'm sure we would not be here. The only solution is to stick with the law, stick with the due process of law, and the solution comes. I have no problems whatsoever. But I must make this point clear. The House of Assembly is not in crisis per se. Those who defected lost their seats. The House is there. Shutting down the House because some people defected and because the numbers are not completed. So shut down arm of government. The Constitution says the government was run on 3 arms. So going back in time, just before I come forward, because he mentioned the former governor. Governor Wike, as governor of River State, sat as governor and ran the House Assembly that has 6 members.
I was going to come to that
Yes.
because Justice Aprioku,
Yes. Of
referred
course.
to it
Rightly
in his
so.
judgment.
Rightly so.
Was that necessary in that
It was absolutely necessary because it was falling back on the Dapper-Long ruling at the Supreme Court. There's nothing wrong with it. And I said nobody went to court that time. So Joseph Aprioku was completely correct. This matter is on all faults, as you say in law, with that Dapper-Long case, where the numbers of the House of Assembly had depleted from defection. So at that time, that House of Assembly passed a budget, the famous Golden Jubilee budget of 2017. Rivers State turned 50 like Lagos State
Yes.
in 2017.
Yes.
They passed that budget a day after it was presented by the governor. That same
With how many members?
6 members, Speaker and 5 others. Adam Tatorima was Speaker. Remember, after the election, Rivers State, there were cancellations by the tribunals.
Yes.
Yeah, so even when they returned, one of those 6 members was Victoria Nyeche of the APC for that constituency one. She raised eyebrows, but she was shut down. The Attorney General at the time was the late Emmanuel Chiwagoma, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, right? Relying on Dapper-Long's case. So what happened was this. Apart from passing the budget, they approved 2 correspondence from the governor, and Joseph Aprioku cited those because they were brought in evidence for him. 2 correspondence from the governor to confirm Justice Yaya Lamikara as Chief Judge of the state in January 2017. By April of 2017, the same assembly of 6 members approved the appointment of Justice Lamikara after Justice Desi Otugbe-Okocha in January. Justice Lamikara came on board as Chief Judge, approved as confirmation, as it were, by the 6-member House. Again, there's no breaking of law there because it was in conformity with the ruling of the Supreme Court. Pa, my Lord, Justice Ondege will also become CJN. So, without saying that, we're saying that this is this should not be the case because it's happened, therefore, no, that's the law. It's not wrong. The Constitution says so. And in interpreting Section 102 extensively, that's what the Constitution says, Section 102. That no matter the difference, if you look at your system, you're going to see it. No matter the reduction number of members of House Assembly, they can see it validly.
All right, Barrister Eli, let me ask you 2 questions. And not just about the law of it, but also the politics and the governance aspect of what is happening in Rivers State. First will be how all this is taking a toll on the governor, Siminalayi Fubara. I see that among, all the other governors, it's about the only one who hardly travels. I'm not sure if he's been out of Nigeria since he became governor. And I'm not advocating that governors should necessarily be out of Nigeria, but people talk about, looking for investment. Maybe there could be conferences or stuff that he needs to attend. Maybe he might even need to accompany the president on some of those trips. I've not seen him do that. Even within Nigeria, my understanding of what is happening is that he feels compelled to have to be around just in case being outside can be taken advantage of. That's one. Then the second part will be the political solution that some people have been advocating, even though I do not know if that can still stand. Some people have said, I believe immediately after the president tried to intervene, that if the president calls 4 people, a few other names have been, suggested in addition, but that if they call 4 people, Wike, Fubara himself, Rotimi Amechi, and former governor Peter Odili, that a solution will come out of that room. But we have seen what has now happened, even between former Governor Wike and Peter Odili. Do you think that there is a possibility, however remote, of a political solution to all this? Okay,
before I answer the second part of the question, let me take the first part. The last time I checked, the governor has a job to do in Rivers State. He was elected to govern Rivers State, not Kwara State.
You're excusing why
not
must
Lagos
he
State.
in
Port
Harcourt.
The last time I saw him in Lagos was when governor visited Asiwaju, the president, during the Christmas break. He was here.
Yeah, but I'm told that he left almost immediately.
The visit of the president was for a purpose. I'm not sure he came to go to Lagos Bar Beach or Lagos to go to the beach around the Lekki corridor. So, but that's that. On a very serious note, he's elected to do a job in Rivers State. And I think that to sit down there to do the job is his primary duty, all right? To make sure the people's welfare is taken care of. So I also don't advocate for governors gallivanting. He has a private jet, he can fly anywhere, yes, but I think I give him kudos for keeping it neat, at least now, up to now. Well, going further, I would also say, whether or not it has some kind of inconvenience arise from the political crisis, yes. But I look at it from both angles. This is our fasting season, I'm fasting. So I also have some kind of spiritual revelation. In every adverse situation, there could be an advantage. Maybe the kind of things he's accomplishing now as governor, if there was no crisis from the family he came from after the election, maybe he won't move at this speed. Go there, go to the streets in River State, and you hear what's going on. The civil servants who formed the engine of government are completely happy with him. Last Christmas, he upgraded from what happened the last time in December 2023, where he gave 100,000 naira to civil servants as Christmas bonus. Last Christmas, he added pensioners. I'm sure that'll shock you. So even the pensioners are happy. I have pensioners at home who I know how much they dance at Christmas. That's all about welfare. In other phases of government, the man is hitting the ground running in spite of the distractions. So in a way, if you ask me, what some people thought was for evil had turned for good. Because it was
what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah. If it was all nice and cozy, maybe you'll be complacent and then satisfying only the big boys who brought him to office or who supported him. And they still to suffer. That is back to the issue of fatherism. So, in a way, if you ask me, I think sometimes blessings come in packages that look like trouble. And if you open them carefully, you see the blessings in it. Now, applying this political solution that I think should give us a leeway, I think I'm a bit cautious knowing the dynamics at work. I'm sure you referred to governor candidate of the APC in 2023, Tony Cole, as advocating on your station here for bringing 4 men, former Governor Odili, former Governor Mechi, former Governor Wike, and Governor Fubra into a room, and then solution will come. From what I've seen recently, with former Governor Wike taking on Governor Odili, that tells you that solution could have worked. I'm not going to speak about how almost impossible it is to bring Ruth Mechi and Wike into the same room. All right? You
think it's impossible?
I'm not going to venture a forensic analysis here because our minds shoot off range. But it's that bad. All right? For instance, you cannot see Ruth Mechi pick a microphone anywhere and go after Dr. Odili, who was his master and his boss. You will not see, not in public, not in secret, but his successor, on the other hand, who was his chief of staff, does that to him. So I think some of these disagreements are graduated to personal issues that cannot just be eliminated because we have a solution to seek. All right? If you look at Governor Sim life, I would say, without holding brief for him, it does not appear to be one who's ready to fight. That's why it's not as messy as it ought to have been. And I approve that with a few facts.
All right, then, if we look beyond this current crisis, what if you could kind of like look into the future, for example, what structural reforms or safeguards would you recommend to prevent similar legislative breakdowns in the future? Should there be stricter mechanisms to upload quorum requirements or more robust oversight of legislative processes, as it were?
Shahida, I'm not saying anything wrong with Section 96 as it stands right now. I'm not saying anything wrong with it. So we don't do any reforms. People should subject themselves to the law. If you break the law, you've broken the law, you do the time. If it's a prison term for a crime, you pay for it. Otherwise, here we'll have an opportunity. INEC has a duty to Nigerians, to Rivers people, to feed those states. The governor of Rivers State cannot do elections in Rivers State. The president cannot call elections in Rivers State. It's INEC. So if INEC says matters are in court, and that because it is a party, it is stopped from conducting elections, INEC has a fact too as well. But that's why we're going back to the issue of politicians. Please do not subject the courts to unnecessary ridicule, unnecessary pressure. Once the court has determined an issue, it is settled law. You don't invite the lower court to go and sit down in judgment and review it. That's Section 109 sub 1G. It's the same thing as Section 68 sub 1G, which applies to the National Assembly. And the Supreme Court had ruled on several cases, including the Abegode's case, right? And you can't revise it. The constitution that I see, the same constitution that I see, this 1999 constitution, is not as bad as people think. It is when some practitioners try to do mago-bago, they try to turn the law on his head, and they feel like it's bad. It's not a perfect document, I agree. Every constitution is not perfect. Every man-made thing is not perfect. We can get there, but let's allow the institutions to work. The problem we have is that we have stronger men and stronger institutions. So one man can sit down somewhere and order people who he bought forms for to go to the House Assembly to move in this direction, and they move. And that's the problem with the crisis. Now, they have not called for elections because that same man had not told them, let's go and run elections. For fear of consequences that they may not come back with full numbers. That, unfortunately, is the solution to the Rivers crisis. My representative is not sitting in the House because he's defected. So I don't have a representative speaking for Degema constituency on the floor. So when they pass the budget, I don't have an input. All right? That is an issue for me. All right? But why do you see the representative? He does not owe me that allegiance as his constituent. He owes allegiance to somebody else somewhere, who is not my constituency. So these are the issues. So once we go back to sticking with the law as is, and as it ought to be, the solution will come. Those who have lost their seats, you have the courage to go back and face the electorate. Who knows? Sometimes you stay and watch the sea. You might be afraid it might consume you. But when you step in, it may not consume you. All right? So it's possible that if we go back to elections, amongst them, some of them were nice guys I will know. One of them is my brother-in-law. All right?
One of the lawmakers.
Yes, one of those who defected, my brother-in-law. And I feel for him. Right? Because this is his first chance. Amewule will let them, and I contested for that same ticket in 2011. He was lucky he got in. And since then, he's been in the House till now. The same Amewule too was part of the 5 who did that in to the Assembly, where he had 27 members on one side and 5 members on one side. He was one of the 5. So Nemesis, as it were, is also at work here. I told you about Makri was speaker, the 5 tried to impeach him. It was a full House, even without a quorum. And I attempted to correct that in via the judiciary. Courts were bombed. So when people say, under Amechi, they locked short and courts, people forget that in courts are trying to interpret whether the House Assembly can validly impeach the speaker with 5 members. Courts in Ahoda, in Ishobo, and Degema, where I come from, were bombed. So the judiciary, essentially at that time, the chairman of Johnson was my immediate junior in secondary school at Calabar National College. He came and said, senior, we cannot continue sitting in court. Because then, when the crisis of succession about over the office of CG arose between Amechi and the NJC, jurisdictions, courts outside of Port Harcourt division were sitting. So courts outside Port Harcourt, where you can file a matter in the registry and assign, the judge takes it immediately, does not need an assignment, were sitting. But when the issue of determining whether 5 members can validly sit and impeach the speaker became an issue for the courts. First, Ahoda was attacked. Matter went to Ishibo, was attacked. When the Degema was attacked, at that point, Johnson said they can't continue. That's what happened. So once we get people to play by the rules, once politicians stop using the courts to mend their nets that are torn politically, we'll get there.
Well, quickly, what's your reading of what is happening at the local government level? The PDP election, has been annulled. Everybody is, saying one thing or the other. And I'm asking you because of the experience that you have had, at least in the at the local government level in Rivers State. What's your reading of it, especially given the fact that it looked like Governor Simfubera, foresaw this and chose to indirectly pitch his tent with another party, during the local government election. Do you think that, in hindsight, that was a smart move? And what do you think will become of what, the PDP chairman now at the local government level?
Well, as of today, as of this morning, as we speak in this studio, they're not chairman. I hope you're talking about the party ESCO members.
Yes.
They're not. As of this morning, as we speak here right now, they're not. The law says the Congress are nullified. From ward level to LG level to state level. So they don't exist. Until the Superior Court, in this case the Appeal Court, says otherwise. They don't exist. So back to whether or not Governor Fubara took a brilliant step by going, it's not entirely what they think or what your statement suggests. No. The governor was elected on the PDP platform. But in the course of these internal fights on CTIM, the PDP called for membership registration or membership revalidation. And in Rivers State, some people were excluded, including the governor and his supporters. So when it was time for that local election, They could have fielded the PDP candidates. Don't forget, the House of Assembly that is pro-Wike had gone ahead and amend the local government law to extend tenure for the outgoing chairman. So they were not envisaging an election. That's on the one hand. All right? They wanted an election to hold. They wanted that people to continue in office, to hold the grassroots for Wike and their group. Two, the government have been played out in the process, and the supporters, I must add that, because of restraining fresh members. So they did that before they had the congresses. Of course, the governors people had gone to court to challenge the exclusion from the registration process. And then on to the point where the congresses came. Now, if you're not a member of a party, you cannot go and apply to contest for a seat. So those judicial issues on ground, the court had all that status quo, anti-balance will be maintained before the ultra contravention of the other court proceeded to hold the congresses. So below the Honorable Justice D. Jumbo Stevens came down hard on them on the fact and infraction of his orders. Okay? They can argue, we have always argued. That happened to my party, the APC, in 2018. We had congresses. Some people alleged exclusion, and they went to court in the case, the famous of Ibrahim Omar and others. They were in court. We proceeded, had the ESCO, from ward level to state level. And at the state level, it was headed by Honorable Jukai Amakri, who is now the Director of Energy Security, the Office of National Security Advisor. He was state chairman. Those who agreed continued in court. The court nullified the congresses. Unfortunately, we had not corrected that problem before time was up for us to run primaries for 2019 elections. All right? And then those who emerged, including Tony Cole, the court said, came from a process that was legally impaired. And they were removed. So for the first time in the history of this country, the political party did not free candidates in the whole state. That is what is about playing out here. At that point, those who argued at the Supreme Court that it was an internal affair of the party, the Supreme Court disagreed. First and foremost, the man has powers, has rights rather, under the Constitution as a Nigerian before he became a member of a political party.
Yeah.
And what you have in the party Constitution cannot override the national Constitution. So if the man is able to prove in evidence that you have deprived him of rights as a Nigerian, all right, first and foremost, in your party, the court will listen, the court has jurisdiction will listen. It's not internal affair of a party. Once he's able to bring facts that my rights as a Nigerian have been violated, I have a right to this, I have a right under the Constitution, in this party has robbed me of those rights, the court to speak. So that's what has happened. So as we speak here, if you ask me, it's quite unfortunate as people try to overreach themselves. That crisis would have been aborted from the beginning if they had played the game by the rules. If you watch the governor as a person, I mentioned that does not look like a man who is ready to fight. And I say so with every sense of responsibility because I know our states. As governor, recall also that Wike himself had warned those who might want to stampede or insult the governor in his landmark, you call it landmark reception.
Yes, it
Private
did.
reception by Abakekuri. He warned. The videos everywhere.
He did.
That anybody who tries to play with this guy and say he's a small boy, what this small boy will do to you? Because the powers in heaven and earth have been given to him. I'm sure that was a prophecy.
He was being prophetic,
Yeah,
maybe.
so now people should understand that if the governor goes into that mode, I tell you what, but the truth of the matter is that he's focused on governance. And I tell you what, I like his courage. I like his ability to stay focused on the purpose for which he got to government now.
Just governing the people.
Right? And daily, if you go on the streets, you have a correspondence in the university, they'll tell you, he's winning hearts and minds every day. Leave the cacophony of political noise out there. In real facts, the man had earned himself a place. And so for me, he's doing well. Let those who think that House Assembly of Rural State has any legal impediments or impairment know that there's not. No. It is the House of Assembly as a state. And that's it. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Barrister Sogbeye Eli, for joining us on the morning show today. I mean, you've given insight.
Submissions, very
into
insightful.
what is happening there. Let's hope that the governor will stay focused. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much.